What is up, Soul Family? Coming at you with another collective reading. As always, let's go ahead and see what comes out. We have the King of Cups, the Three of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and then at the bottom of the deck we have the Four of Cups, which was also our card of the day. So I'm definitely going to throw a little bit of shade, and I think one of the biggest components of having emotional intelligence is actually having the capacity to sit with uncomfortable emotions and process them and actually feel them versus trying to lie to yourself and simply say that everything is okay. Sometimes we really go through really heavy, difficult, and gut-wrenching situations, and while higher knowledge and higher wisdom from spirits is definitely, admired and appreciated, it's also important to know that they do not have the human emotions and the human experiences that we have, and the perspective that we hold. I think one of the biggest moments that kind of helped me understand that while their information might be objectively true, it's not exactly practical was when Abraham Hicks, there was a mother who lost her daughter. Her daughter died, and well, funny enough, it's kind of like the Four of Cups. Uncle Ira lost his son, but her daughter died, and what Abraham's response to it was essentially that it's just a transition, and you just gotta align yourself with a higher vibration to simply get out of the situation that you're in. And I think that that's where certain levels of disconnect come in the spiritual community, because I've had countless individuals try and gaslight me or even spiritually bypass very real aspects of the human experience by simply stating that, oh, I'm just trying to attract good energy. And it's always been those people or who were the most toxic individuals. The shade comes in where I had this lady that I used to work adjacent to named Stella, and she had the audacity to pretty much infer that I had a lack of emotional intelligence because of the fact that she assumed that I was being defensive about a situation. And to kind of get into a little bit more of a shorter story, she was the kind of person to simply say, oh, I only want to bring good energy in. Everything is just positive around here. I don't want you to bring in your negative energy. But that same person who was trying to create that environment, supposedly, was the biggest person who was toxic. They are the ones who were complaining every day. They're the ones who are upset every day. They're the ones who allowed their own emotions and their inability to handle them to affect everybody around them. So I would definitely disagree with anybody who says a marker of emotional intelligence is simply just shifting your thoughts and being happy and choosing better thoughts. And while sometimes that's perfectly a possible and plausible thing, the King of Cups does not become the King of Cups for or by simply ignoring those emotions. He becomes the King of Cups by traversing the deep waters that are causing, these emotions to stir up and understanding how to deal with these things in a healthy way. Especially at the Queen of Pentacles, these are cards that point towards inner stability and even the aspects of really being nurturing and caring and loving to yourself within the process of these really difficult times and these very difficult experiences. I think that true strength is found in honoring all of our emotions and trying our best to move forward in whatever way that could be, even if moving forward for that day is just waking up. I've had friends who insisted, because of Abraham Hicks' teaching, that because of the fact that we were or that I was in a negative state, or that I might have been sad for a couple of days due to other unrelated issues, that I then brought those further traumatic experiences upon myself. And I feel like law of attraction is wildly misunderstood, especially when it comes to the vibing high and allowing your emotions to, be your guidance system. Uncle Iroh became the general that he did and became the person that he did because of the fact that he allowed this experience that was something very difficult to be something that transformed him. He sat with those emotions. He kind of tried to gain a deeper perspective and see what he could have gained out of it. And it's not to say that with every situation that we're going through, we have to, derive some deeper meaning or, whatnot from it. But it is to say that there is value to be gained sometimes in these more difficult times and through these more difficult emotions that we experience. You have to trust your intuition above all else. If something sounds off to you or doesn't feel right, then please trust that. Don't let just because somebody is a spiritual teacher or has some kind of authority or has some kind of power in some way, shape, and form push you away from trusting your intuition. And again, one of the things that people tend to believe, and it's understandable that we, to a certain degree, do manifest the individuals in our reality and versions of them, but it is important to understand that people still do act within a certain realm of free will, and that our subconscious is quite literally created in order to give the experience of having people that have an autonomous sense of being. So it's never your fault if you're unable to shift your perspective immediately or just, manifest the best version of somebody. You got to trust your intuition and not allow spiritual teachers just because they have that title to tell you that this is the proper way to manifest. And as a result of it, you got to be positive all the time. What matters most is your focus. And granted, while you are in more negative emotions, your focus tends to be a little bit more towards the things that are going wrong. However, it is important to note that there are nuances when it comes to being able to manifest through negative states. You can be sad about having a boyfriend who died, and in that exact same breath, you can still be a millionaire. You can still be the Queen of Pentacles. So just because you have a negative emotion in one end doesn't inherently mean that you are going to draw in horrible things for your manifestations, or that you're simply attracting all these negative things, or that, you know, one aspect of your emotions is intrinsically tied to the other. We are multifaceted beings and very nuanced beings, and the emotions that we have are very complex. So I guess if there's anything that I could say, and what I'm trying to get at is honor your emotions. Don't let anybody tell you that you should not. And I'm not saying you have to rampage and break things or throw things, but I am saying to do what you can to process and integrate them into being the better person, into being a better person if it's possible. Don't allow your emotions to simply sit there and then, become something that allows you to be unkind to others or act out because of the fact that you have a lack of emotional intelligence or control over yourself. I think true kindness and true compassion is being able to feel these negative things, but then still being able to offer kindness to another person in spite of those trials and tribulations that we go through. And because of people like Stella and Kat, the people who are running Midnight Sun, um, I'm definitely going to die on the hill that emotional intelligence comes from understanding and processing your emotions, not just forcing yourself to try and be positive and failing horribly at it. But either way, peace and blessings, and I hope you guys have a great day.